Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Legacy Builders. Happy 2023. And yeah, we're back.
Yeah, we're excited to be back, and yeah, it's been a little while, so we're excited to just launch again and get started with some more series for Legacy Builders. And we took a much needed break through the holidays, and even though it's in March and we're welcoming you to 2023, but
We had to get some
this
plans in
is
place
yeah,
and
this is
everything
our
like that.
2023. So
Yeah.
we've got some exciting series in store for this year, and so Mass and I were just game planning, and we're ready to launch our first series for 2023. So hope
Yeah.
y'all are doing good.
Yeah. What have you been? So let's start by talking a little bit about like what we've been up to, stuff like that. You want to go first? Just what have you been up to? Um,
Well, yeah. So I mean, for those that don't know, I'm a home builder, so I build houses, and so that business is growing. We just keep building more houses, and it's kind of a crazy season right now within the home building industry. There's just a lot of if you're watching this, you may be experiencing some craziness in the mortgage or housing markets with mortgage rates and such. But we keep plugging along and we keep building, and families are just plugging away too. All the Madison can tell you how she's doing, but our other kids are doing good, and Jody's doing good. So
Yeah. Well, and then I work too with you,
yep.
part-time at your home building business, Just Right Construction. And so, yeah, that picking up really caused everything to pick up and us to kind of lose track a little on this. And so now we're back and we've got a game plan, all that. So,
And Madison does all of our design work. So when you
yes.
when you go through our house and come drive up to the house, all the details, Madison puts that together, the color schemes, and hopefully I pay attention to all the details.
And the guys, you know,
Yeah,
that
and the
are putting the
guys. So
stuff on there.
those are
So,
constant battles. But yeah, then inside
but we
and
always make it work. We always make it work,
yep.
no matter what. So, but that's what we've been up to.
Yeah, we'll probably even
So,
post. We'll put a link down below so you can check out one of the latest homes that we've completed, so you can kind of see the type of work that I do and stuff that we're doing. So
yeah,
that might be exciting for y'all to see.
but just a little catch up. We haven't just, been sitting around, but
No,
but
quite
we
the
did have a good, well, a rested break and much needed break. Got to spend some time with family. We went to a cabin and like extended family. It was awesome. So,
yeah, it was a
yeah.
lot of fun. Like what, 5 floors was it?
Yeah, it was 5 floors, which is
Yeah, like
crazy.
8 bedrooms, 5 floors. There's a pool there, a theater room, and everything up in the Smoky Mountains. So that was a lot of fun to get out there and do that.
Yeah.
So, and then as we're talking, and this might be encouraging for you guys too, as you're listening. But I mean, our family at the end of the year, we set about a week or so, sometimes a little bit longer aside, so we can catch up and game plan. And we have our what we call family meetings. So we get together
Yeah.
and we talk about everything that we've been talking about with Legacy Builders, all the things that hey, how's our finances been going? How's our relationships been going? How's our health been going? Just all spirituality, all these things. We just kind of get together. We do a kind of a annual checkup. We go to the doctor and we get our bodies checked out. Annual physicals or whatever, and stuff. And so we just do, and how's everybody doing mentally? Just emotionally. We just do a checkup and we talk about stuff, and we intentionally set time aside. And that's why we're like, this is important for us to do with Legacy Builders and to continue videos, because it's important to our family. And just for those that might be new, this is something that we decided to do, Madison and I, because we are building legacy. That's the whole point,
Yeah.
from one generation to the next generation, and then now later to her generation. And so
Right.
we have content and ideas and principles, thoughts that in all of those different areas that we want to make sure that our heritage knows and understands, at least things that we think is important. And just that we want to pass on from one generation to the next. And so we chose to do video recordings, and in the process of sharing them, we want to share it with you all, so that maybe you guys would benefit from some of the thoughts that we have, and maybe encourage you to do the same, to be intentional about the next generation and the generations to follow. maybe you'd set something up for them.
Well, and that intentionality then goes throughout the rest of the year as well. We have a monthly check-in too, and like a quarterly, a little bit longer of a family meeting. At least that's the goal. And so it's not just once a year thing, but that once a year is where we really dive deep into that focus. Um, just wanted to kind of clarify that. So it's not just like a family resolution type of thing. It's
Right.
really a family meeting where we dive deep and talk about our values and talk about mindset, like you said, how everybody's doing mentally, what are the goals for next year, like all of those things. How can we keep you accountable? So,
Yeah, that's good. And yeah, thanks for mentioning that too, because it isn't just that one time a year, because it's just at that time of year we come together for a longer period of time. But we do have monthly and quarterly times where we meet and just talk about, make sure we're keeping on track, because what's the saying that says we never plan to fail, we just fail to plan.
yeah.
And so it's important when you set goals, and that's why I'm not big on resolutions, because I don't know, within 3 weeks, I think there's a stat, within 3 weeks, 60% of the resolutions are already out the door. People have already given up on their New Year's resolutions. And so we have plans, and we encourage the kids to have plans, and we have family plans, and just intentionally, striving and setting goals. And that's I guess a mindset that we want to incorporate into our family values.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't even think we've said yet. So going into our next series, we have announced it on social media by this point. But our next series, or this series that we're entering into, is our mindset series. So I know you just talked about mindset, but I don't think we actually announced what this series was.
Right.
In this episode so far.
Yep.
So this is our mindset series. This episode is going to be all about it's going to be all about just talking about mindset, defining it, and setting that foundation for the rest of this series.
Yeah, and it's an interesting topic. It's going to be interesting dialogue and conversation, because this isn't something that we typically are taught. It's not, this isn't something that you really learn about, but this is something that dictates everything about our life. And I just thought it was important that we talk about this topic of mindsets, and it help you once you talk about things. It brings an understanding and an awakening to, like, oh wow, I never thought about that, and especially the ability to change a mindset.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we get to a point in life. I know for me, and and Madison can touch on this too, but for me, I get to a point in my life where it's time to move out. It's time to move out of the parents' house, and it's time to be an adult, start our own journey, start our own path in life. But what we don't realize is all these mindsets, all these habits, all these things we've learned along the way have been we've learned these mindsets growing up, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But then you start to evaluate. Oh, I want to do some things different than mom or dad, or I like this thing that mom and dad did, so I want to continue doing this. And so, as much as we like to want to change them, sometimes we don't know how to, and we end up just doing the same thing in a different way, thinking that it's our idea. And but when you actually learn a different concept, when you learn a different mindset, it really changes the course, and it could change the course of your life. It's that important. It's that valuable. I don't know if you want to touch on any.
Yeah, I don't know that I have necessarily anything to touch on right there, but I think just like what you said, sometimes you don't even realize what that mindset is. And so we can't change it if we don't know what we're changing or what we're doing. And so it's kind of like just down to your core of a mindset. And so when we sat down, it was like, how do you even describe a mindset? How do we even explain this like concept and all of that? And so we're going to do our best.
Yeah. And hopefully, just generate some thought, some discussion, and maybe, like I said, as we go through this, this first episode here, that you would be like, oh wow, that is very interesting. Never thought about that. So let me just start off with kind of a definition, what the
What
definition,
the Google says.
what Google says the definition of mindset is. It's the established set of attitudes by someone. So I thought that was interesting. It's the established set of attitudes, not thinking, but attitudes, because our attitudes are a result of our thinking in these established mindsets. And so, for example, and we'll find this as we venture out into other series, or you may even think about this, where we'll talk about a poverty mindset. There's a middle class mindset. Believe it or not, it's different than a poverty mindset, and it's different than a wealthy mindset. So there's a lot of different mindsets. So you could grow up in a middle class family thinking that you're wealthy and you're not, and thinking that you're doing something a certain way. And that's what I meant by you could leave your parents' house and all of a sudden, oh, I'm not going to be a teacher, or I'm not going to be a working construction. I'm going to be a doctor. And then all of a sudden that you think that mindset changed when it comes to finances. But how you manage your money, yes, doctor, you made more money, but what did you do with that money? Are you still living paycheck to paycheck because of that mindset that was ingrained in you early on? You just continued that pattern, and it looked like you were doing something different than what you grew up doing, because you're making more money than the person next to you or your other family members, but your spending habits are the same, just at a different level. You're just spending them on more expensive things. Instead of going to an Applebee's or a mid-grade restaurant, you're going to a higher grade restaurant. Not that there's anything wrong with that. This isn't about right or wrong. It's just about understanding mindsets, so you can really evaluate what it takes to get to change, if you want to change from a middle class mindset to a wealthy mindset.
Well, I think what's so good too, and I want to point out what you just said right there, is that it doesn't have to be intentionally taught for you to continue that mindset. Like if your parents spend money in a certain way and you guys have never talked about money or like that, that doesn't mean you can't inherit that mindset,
right,
or anything like that. And so we are very intentional. You're very intentional on teaching us about money, teaching us about certain things. But if you weren't, I would still have some certain mindsets that were adopted. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just, I think pointing that out, it's not always taught, but you still adopt it.
And I did want to, and we didn't talk about this, but I'm gonna announce our next series after this one, because this is really a precursor to our next series that we're going to do. This will be a little bit of a shorter series. We might do about, I don't know, 6 or 8 episodes around this mindsets. We got a couple of great guests that we're going to bring on to talk about mindsets. And then we really are going to it's kind of a precursor to when we start talking about money. We're going to do a financial series. It's going to be it's going to be longer, more episodes than that one. But it's these, this is laying the foundation for what we're about to talk about as it pertains to money. And so that's why I use that example. It's an easy example. It really hits home with most people. And so we won't really get too much involved with that, but
we will in our financial series.
when it comes to money. But that's why it's the established set of attitudes of someone. And that goes into so much, even on how you treat people. You grow up, good or bad, right or wrong. This isn't to compare to one another's families, but the point is you're going to learn how to treat one another primarily by your parents and how they treated people when they grew up. And so you're going to have these mindsets, this established set of attitudes towards people, attitude towards money, attitude towards government, attitude towards
health, towards relationships with each other. Within your family relation, marriages. You look up to your parents. They're your first example at a marriage and a couple and stuff like that. And so it's literally everything.
Yeah.
Work ethic.
Yeah. How you view God. Just there's so many, everything that is in our life. We don't just all of a sudden wake up at 18 to 20 years old and be like, oh, I have a whole world to learn. No, you have already learned almost every habit that you operate in your daily life is already established. It's already a mindset. Everything that you do, your reactions to things are not instantaneously you deciding. They're a replay of what you have done in the past. It's a mindset. And so we have to be intentional to change these mindsets. We're not going to talk about the process of changing mindsets today, necessarily, or no, but anyway, it's kind of like this. There's a scripture in the Bible that says that money is the root of all evil. So if you grow up in a household and and your relatives, extended relatives, your friends, the people you go to school with, they all have this attitude that, oh, money is the root of all evil. And it changes how you view money. It changes how you view business. It changes how you view your boss. Okay, it changes how you view people with money. But then when you actually realize that that's not the truth, that it's the love of money that's the root of all evil, then all of a sudden you're like, wow, that's a different concept. I never thought of that. So now all of these things that I thought about money being the root of all evil now has the ability to change. You can now change, and that concept will now alter the course of everything that you do going forward. Maybe how you view people with money now. That it's not evil to have money. You know, it's that instantaneous that this awakening was like, wow. And you're going to see this in other things. You know, as you, and again, it's Madison's age is a prime age where people start they start searching out their independence. They start searching out, this is what I want with life and where I want to go with my life. And then you're going to be like,
well, I feel like too, like my age, your eyes open, well, even a couple years before, but like your eyes really open to be like, I can change. Like I can do this and I can change some of these mindsets. Like you just start to realize and your eyes are open to a whole new world. But I interrupted your thought too. So go ahead.
Oh no, this is an open discussion podcast. That's what's so great about, you know, because this is opportunity for two generations to talk, you know, to each other. These things that Madison and I talk about off podcasts. I mean, this isn't the first time that she's hearing this information. You know, we have discussions and we talk about stuff. And so we're just having a live discussion with, you know, so you all can hear from two different, you know, generations, one that's learning and not just learning, but learning things that I don't know. And so it's awesome to now when you get to the point where, you know, the next generation is learning things and bringing new ideas and new information, things that will help me tweak my mindsets.
But also I come to you so often with questions still and put myself in that place where I'm like, okay, how can I learn like from the amazing, incredible people I'm surrounded with that are twice my age, that have lived life longer than me. And I think that's an important position to sit because I don't know everything. And even though my eyes have just opened and there's things that I want to change, I don't know everything. And so I am like, my dad's like, yeah, that's right. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I was just going to say, I'm going to say, look out because there's a mindset. That's a mindset.
Oh, yeah.
That I wish more people Madison's age would have. But contrary, they start getting to the point where they know more than the people 20 years older than them. So they go ahead and start having this mindset where, oh, I know everything. I don't need to listen to you anymore.
Well, and I was going to say too, but like also be careful at my age, like who you are listening to. And so I know those are kind of different ideas, but like, I want to be in a place where I am humble and can learn from people, but I'm also like, while I have these little baby mindsets and these ideas that are just starting, that I'm just starting to build, I need to be careful and make sure that people, like the people that are feeding that advice into me, are people that are helping me grow, that they're not like dashing out that flame or anything like that, or just giving their own opinions or, oh, you need to be safer or this or that. Whatever it may be, you just got to make sure that the people you are going to for advice or really listening to also are on your side.
Right. Well, and not just on your side, but that they usually communicate information and opinions based on their mindsets and where they're at in their life. And
right.
So I tell Madison and I tell my kids this all the time, and other people, but the world has a plan for your life.
Yeah.
Everybody has an opinion on what you should do with your life. Eric and Madison are giving you opinions of what we think you would be good for your life. It's another voice. Everybody has those, and it's important for you to gather those voices, sort them out, and decide which ones you want to adopt and hold as your values. Because once you hold those values in your life, all those other voices go away.
Yeah.
So it's important. There are all these voices, like Madison was saying. Now she's getting all these other new opinions. Like, Madison still at this point lives at home with us because, like I said, financially, it's a crazy mess right now in our society, in our world. Inflation is insane. Just a lot of
interest rates have raised.
Yeah, interest rates
like 5 times what they were.
Yeah, but there's a mindset in her age group that thinks that they need to get out on your own. It's time to get out on your own. And yes, it is. But we have a healthy family environment here. There's other people that they need to get out of there because it's not healthy. It may not be healthy. They may be at odds with their parents. And and with that said, getting out of the home doesn't necessarily mean that you have a new mindset. It just means you're absent the chaos. You're absent the challenges that you had at home, and now it's just a relief for you to get out of there. But now you may still be doing some of the same things that your parents did, only they're not around anymore.
You still have to be intentional to make that change.
Right. So, that's great. You're out on your own, but now what? What did that do? What does that mean? So you're out on your own.
But all like back to what you were saying on like the voices, like it's just another voice and it's another thing. And I have to look at it. I'm like, well, I have these financial goals and these things, and I could sacrifice those for what other people are telling me I should do, or I can keep at it and I can keep going. And I can listen to a trusted source like my dad, who's like, hey, it's okay. And I'm like, you know what? If my dad's saying it's okay, if I'm like taking some financial like seminars and stuff and they're like, it's okay, I'm like, those are the voices I have filtered through and I'm going to choose to listen to those. And so, yeah, once you do get to that 20-year-old age, though, like my age, the opinions for your life, I feel like are just doubled.
Yeah.
Because that's where you're the most like seeking after purpose, seeking after what you want to do, trying to figure out everything for your world and your life. And everybody offers an opinion for your world and your life. And so.
And how many times you asked for those opinions?
No.
Yeah.
Because the people that I'm sitting humbly and asking for, those are the people who I take advice from.
Yep. So with that said, who determines your mindsets? Madison and I would talk about this. So, what are these mindsets? Where do they come from? Who determines them? And, again, they're an established set of attitudes. These are things that you will have observed from, again, primarily your mom and dad or whoever that role model is in your life. Not everybody has the privilege to be around both mom and dad, but
look up to either.
Yeah, or look up to them. But and again, this isn't to say they're good or bad. This isn't to say that. It's to say this is where you're at.
Yeah.
You've gotten these mindsets from the people in your past. You've adopted them by default. You didn't have another option at the time. This is how things were done. And you might even have heard that in your home. Why, mom and dad? Because I said so. There's no explanation for it. You're going to do this, but why? Because I said so. Because this is my house and this is how we're going to do it. And so they're ingraining these mindsets. I mean, the military is the same way. You go into the military, they're going to train you to think a certain way. They're going to train you to do things. They're going to create a mindset, an established way of an established attitude that you're going to now carry from that point out of boot camp. And everybody in your sphere of influence in the military will be enforcing those mindsets, those behaviors, those established set of attitudes.
Yeah.
Go get your hair cut. How come you don't have your hair cut? How come this isn't buttoned? Shine your shoes. Stand up straight. Walk this way, and march right, left, all of this stuff, But people go to the military and they submit to that, but then, there's you get in your homes, but then as you grow older, all of a sudden you're like, hey, I see Johnny's mom or Susie's mom and dad, they do things differently. Why? And so you get to the age where you don't have to, you know, be in the position, why do I do? Because I said so. Now it's like, I really want to know why.
Yeah.
I'm really seeing some things that are different, some contrary to the way things have been done. And I kind of like what's going on over here. So what happened? What do we do? And so these things, you start learning these different concepts and you start learning these different principles, and you start you start changing.
Yeah. But I think going back to who determines the mindset, it is the parents. Ultimately, like when you're a kid and when you're little, like the parents determine what mindset is and your viewpoint on everything, because you don't, I mean, as a kid, you don't really have that choice or that option. Like this home that, like your parents, like that is what it is. And I think the best, we watched a movie um, called King Richard,
Mm-hmm.
and it's Venus and Serena Williams, a movie all about their dad and the intentionality that he has with creating the mindset of those girls was so incredible to witness.
Right.
And if you haven't seen that movie, I would highly suggest it.
Yeah.
Like, so powerful, and just like not even just the like how intentional he was and the example that he set, but it was also like the protection, like as they started to get famous and popular, like he helped cultivate and helped keep that safe, that mindset. And just I was like, wow, like pausing interviews when interviewers would be like, um oh, you're sure you're gonna win, or like that
Yeah.
doubt, he
Yeah.
would be like, all right, we're done here.
Yeah.
Like after like the second or third time that they would try to push on that, and I was just like, that is so incredible, and the intentionality of that was really so cool.
Yeah.
I don't know what you want to comment on that, because you watched it too. We didn't watch it at the same time,
Yeah.
but
No, I mean, it was just an awesome story to see the, the mindset of, a dad, and just be like, no, this is how we're going to do. And it wasn't just with Venus and Serena. It was what they had,
oh
I think, what, five
yeah,
kids, five daughters. And this is, and each one of them, they had plans. They didn't go into the plans for the other lives, but that one day there's the neighbor had reported them, for working. They just called the cops for a stupid reason,
for being too hard on
for
their
being
kids.
too hard on their kids. Yeah. And so he came in and he's like, no, we have two future star athletes. We have future doctors and lawyers. And I mean, there was high standards and high expectations and high this mindset that he would instill in them to be and see themselves in their future, into just this work ethic. It was a great movie to watch, and to see how, how that translated. Not just, and again, the story was all about Venus and Serena, but you saw that same mindset translated into the other three girls as well.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think too, like the whole you don't plan to fail, you fail to plan.
Right.
Like that was a motto of his, and that was just like
right.
ingrained in them. Because he made like he had a plan and he stuck with the plan. And it did come to the point where like Venus was like, all right, well, we have to veer off the plan, because like I am ready for this, and I don't know why you don't think I'm ready. And so it was just so cool to see all those dynamics, and just, but I mean, going off of mindset, it was incredible to see the intentionality with all of those girls' mindsets, and how it, I mean, obviously paid off as the two biggest tennis stars.
Oh yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, ever. What one thing I was thinking about, as we're talking about legacy. I mean, this was also a story about legacy. We have a man who just had a rough upbringing, rough life, but he was determined that his girls, his future legacy was not going to. He may not have had the ability to do that for himself personally, and to personally grow and be an example for the others to follow. He sacrificed his life to make sure that he put his girls in a better position. And I mean, it was total legacy mentality. So,
Yeah.
I mean, people watching this, you might be like, look, maybe you think it's too late for you to make a change, but what about making a change for your children? What about making a change to set them at a different place? You know, these things that you think and desire that you want to be at a different level. Well, why don't you start making that change and make it happen for the next generation? Not just write off your life and just say, good luck, son, daughter. Hopefully you figure it out. No, this guy took it and he's like, I have a plan. I'm going to do this and I'm going to invest the rest of my life to make sure the next generation is taken care of and set for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
And so I just appreciated that too. I mean, it was a legacy defining movie too, in addition to mindset.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Absolutely. Well, and just going back to the example of the building blocks that we've did with the
Yeah.
movies and stuff, like imagine even if you only get 3 building blocks, 1 building block, 5, whatever it is, that's more than none. It's more of a foundation than none that you're passing along to the next generation.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so,
and for those that don't know what Madison's talking about, I did a visual. And one of the things I talk about building legacy, and this is what, again, a mindset. This is what people do. Mom, dad, they build something. They start building something. They're okay. This is mine. And then now, Madison, you're going to go out and you're going to build something. And that's the mindset that I'm building this. And at the end of my life, I'll pass on the value of this and split it between the kids. And this is an inheritance or whatever. And that's a mindset. Again, not saying there's anything wrong with that. But all I proposed to Madison was, if I'm building this, instead of having you go off and start over from scratch and start building something from scratch when I've built this up, why don't you take this and apply it to this effort over here? So you're helping me build. And then we're jointly building something, whatever that looks like. So you're not starting from scratch and you're not starting over and hoping that you build something. So that's another mindset, to start building things where legacy is important and that your other kids can be a part of. My partner and I in construction, I have a construction partner, and Madison, like she had mentioned, is involved in our business in some capacity, and so are his kids. So now we're building something that otherwise the kids would not have an involvement in. He could have continued to be a realtor and make money and do some investment properties, and at the end of his life, whatever he chooses to do with it. But now we're building something that we can bring the kids involved and have them to start help building some things.
yeah. Yeah.
So now the changing the topic a little bit, and how do you create mindsets? And we kind of already talked about. I would say maybe a different question is how now you're aware of mindsets.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you get to the point in your life and you see things that you don't like and you want to now create a new mindset. And we'll do a whole, maybe I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on that, because I think our next episode we're going to talk about really how to change your mindset and how to adopt them. But I think the point we want to make in this particular bullet point item for this episode is to become aware of your mindsets. Become aware of things, and everything that you're doing has a why behind it. It has an established set of attitudes behind it. And so if you just start becoming aware of those, then you can decide. Now when you want to do something different, now we'll talk about how to start changing those something different. So as you're starting to identify these mindsets, you're becoming aware of them. Let me just to kind of wrap up this first episode and this time here together is let me just give you a couple examples of maybe some mindsets. Okay, there's maybe you have a success versus poverty mindset. Okay, and so you might be success driven. You might have poverty mindsets. What does all those mean? We'll get into those in another episode, but there is a difference. There's a difference between, for example, a victim and a victor mindset. And so when you're walking through life thinking that the whole world is against you and you're a victim, it's a different mindset than to think that, hey, you know what, no matter what happens in my life, I'm going to overcome this, and I'm going to continue to walk through this. I'm victorious regardless of what happens to me. I'm not subject to the circumstances and the things that happen in life. I'm just going to keep moving regardless of the circumstances. So there's just different mindsets that really activate and really dictate how we proceed throughout the rest of our life. So I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add or.
I think I'll keep it short because I know if I add another question, we'll be here for a little bit. So we'll see you in the next episode where we expound on some more of those ideas and mindsets and how to change a mindset and all of that.
Yeah, sounds good. So, hey, thank you all for listening in and joining us. We're excited to be back to putting out these episodes for you. I hope you learned something today, and tune in next episode where we're going to start diving in deep on this and start talking about how to change these mindsets. So, hope to see you next time.
Yep. Thanks so much for joining us today on the Legacy Builders podcast. Make sure to share this episode with your friends and family, and remember, today is a great day to start building your legacy.